So welcome to Cloud Foundry Day in Heidelberg. So I'm here today with Beyhan Veli, who is a member of the Technical Oversight Committee, and my name is Stephan Klevenz. I'm a governance board member. We are both from SAP. Heidelberg is a beautiful castle, has a beautiful castle and a lovely old town. So how does this connect with Cloud Foundry? Let's attempt to create a metaphor. Oops. So allow me to showcase the city of Heidelberg. Founded in the 12th century, Heidelberg is a city steeped in history. Concurrently, the castle's first mention in a document marked the birth of what we now know as the Old Town. One of the famous places in Heidelberg is the Hotel Ritter, a very old hotel that has been around for more than 400 years. But Heidelberg is not only known for its old-fashioned beauty. Here is a newer area where there is a modern place that opened recently. Situated with Heidelberg's youngest and most modern district, was commenced less than 2 decades ago. When you put together the old and the new, you can see interesting similarities. Each has its own good points. People generally like that the new things go well with the old. So a valuable lesson learned from this dynamic is Heidelberg thrives on diversity, fostering coexistence and seamless connectivity through a network of roads accessible to both cars and bicycles. So let's dive into the structure of the cloud. Infrastructure as a service encompasses prominent providers such as AWS, Google Cloud, Azure OpenStack, and more. Container as a service leverages technologies like Kubernetes with options for managed clusters such as Gardener. Platform as a service is an ideal fit for Cloud Foundry. Then, function as a service introduces an additional layer of abstraction, enabling workload execution in the cloud. Lastly, software as a service represents the highest level of abstraction, allowing users to utilize software without complexities of underlying cloud infrastructure. While these abstractions occasionally overlap and exhibit similarities, each has its own advantage. And one does not replace the other. So key takeaway from this understanding are: the cloud thrives on diversity, enabling coexistence among service models and seamless connectivity through networks for data exchange and function calls. And now I hand over to Beyhan, who will give an update about the latest news of the community.
Yeah, hello from my side. As Stephan mentioned, I will provide you an update of the community and from the Technical Oversight Committee and also how our community is organized. Do we have people actually attending for the first time a Cloud Foundry Day? Could you please raise your hands? Wow, we have quite a lot of hands. I think the next slides will be especially interesting for you because we have an open community which is eager to help, and if you have an idea how we can improve or to contribute something, please note down the names you will see on the next slides and just contact those people. But let's talk about a little bit about our community. Imagine that it's organized like a castle. You can see here, for example, the Heidelberg castle on top of the hill. And the gate of the castle are coordinated by our CFF staff members. They are letting new members through the gates, clarifying all the legal details required for this. And they are also going out into the world to advertise our castle, so that we have more visitors and eventually they become new members. The strategy of the castle is defined by the governing board. The governing board is also planning the resources required for the castle so that we can face challenging times with confidence. The overall architecture of the castle and the infrastructure of the castle are the responsibilities of the Technical Oversight Committee. And the buildings which we have in the castle are actually our working groups. They are self-organized, they are responsible for the future development of the building and for the maintenance of the building. And at the moment we have 8 of them. I will present you more details about the working groups in later slides. But let's talk about the members. Who are they actually? So here you saw actually some of them. We have Chris, our program manager. We have Deb, our event director. And we have Rem, our chief evangelist. I am really excited that we have the event here. And yeah, as you heard, those are the people who organize it. And I want also take the opportunity here on stage and thank them for that. In the governing board, we have Christine from VMware, we have Stephan from SAP, and we have Andy from GovUK. Andy is the Technical Oversight Committee representative in the governing board. And today, actually yesterday, the foundation announced that we have here also a new member. And this is Greg Otto from Comcast. Greg is active in the community since 2013. For example, he gave multiple keynotes at Cloud Foundry events. And he is the executive director of the DevX platforms at Comcast. Congratulations. Regarding the Technical Oversight Committee, we have the following members here. So we have Andy, as I mentioned, he is the TOC chair, the representative in the in the governing board. We have Ruben and Eric from VMware, and Stephan and me from SAP. In the Technical Oversight Committee, we have annual elections. And we've been running elections since the beginning of this month, and they are already finished, and we have the results. They have been announced yesterday. And in the elections, we have 1 year, 3 seats available for election, and the next year, 2 seats. This year, the seats of Andy, Stephan, and Eric were available for elections. And the new Technical Oversight Committee for the next year is working as... So me and Ruben, we are still around. We have Amelia taking the seat of Eric. We have Chris taking the seat of Andy, and Stephan was re-elected. Welcome, Chris and Amelia. I'm really looking forward to working with you during the next year in the TOC. And I also want to thank Eric and Andy for the great cooperation we had during the last year in the TOC. So coming to the working group, as I mentioned, we have 8 of them. The App Runtime Deployments working group is led by Johan Eret, and they are responsible to provide the community distributions for the platform. App Runtime Platform is the working group which provides the runtime components for the applications. The build, execution, the routing components, container-to-container networking, application logs and metrics. And the working group is led by Amelia. Service lifecycle interfaces and the integration into the platforms, and also implementation of adapters for external components are part of the responsibilities of service management working group led by Marcella. Infrastructure automation and projects with cross-cutting cursors have their home in the foundational infrastructure working group. This is a little bit more crowded working group. We have Ruben here as execution lead. We have again, Ruben, Josef, and me as technical leads. The app runtime interfaces is led by Greg, and they are responsible to provide the APIs for our platform and the community clients for those. The discrete management of vulnerabilities is the responsibility of the vulnerability management group led by Paul. As you know, we have also Paketo as working group in the community, and they are responsible to provide the Paketo build packs, which are the implementation of the cloud native build packs specification. And they also provide toolings around those. This working group is organized a little bit different compared to the working groups I mentioned. They have a steering committee instead of execution leads and technical leads. And recently they introduced elections for the steering committee. And the elections also finished and the results are public. So we have here Daniel, Forrest, and Jan as the new members of the steering committee. Congratulations to them. And last but not least, we have CF on Kubernetes, which aims to provide the Cloud Foundry experience on top of Kubernetes. And this group is led by Georgi and Giuseppe. And I also brought some statistics with me. So on the diagram, you can see the development of approvers and reviewers in our community since the beginning of last year. The numbers are growing, and I'm really happy with this. I hope that we can keep this trend in the future. Another statistic which I have is about the commits activity in our repositories in the first half of this year compared to the same period last year. And I was really surprised that we have similar activities here. It looks like our automations are working fine. So let's talk about some updates from the TOC, the Technical Oversight Committee. I want to present you the RFCs, request for changes, which we've been discussing in the TOC since Cloud Foundry Day in Detroit. As you know, RFCs are the way how we introduce changes in the processes in our community and also technical changes which impact multiple working groups. And the first one I want to talk is about branch protection. So this is the next step after we introduce the automation for GitHub team management in our Cloud Foundry org. And with this one, we want to provide a baseline for branch protection in our GitHub repositories for the default and release branches. Also, we want to encourage PR-only workflow in our community. This is an opt-in offer, which is provided by the TOC, and we have already 2 working groups which are using this, upper runtime deployments and upper runtime platforms. The next one is about the Python and Ruby removal from the CF Linux FS4 stack. As you know, the CF stack is the root file system we have for our application containers. And recently, we released the CF Linux FS4 stack, which is based on Ubuntu, Jammy Jellyfish. The GA release was recent. And shortly before the release, there was the decision taken to remove some packages from the stack, which are not really required in the stack to reduce the vulnerability risks in the stack. We had many discussions in the community how to proceed with this change, and at the end we decided to provide a compatibility stack with the same name, which has also the removed packages, and the Cloud Foundry operators can decide which one to use. And this compatibility stack will be provided until the end of life of the CF Linux FS4 stack. The next one is actually my favorite one. It's about Cloud Native Build Packs support in Cloud Foundry. The Cloud Native Build Packs are the new development in the Build Packs area, and they have really great features which could be beneficial for our users. For example, they generate a software bill of material during the build time of the application. We had many discussions how we can support Cloud Native Build Packs in Cloud Foundry, and we decided to go with a phased approach. So in the first phase, we won't introduce any changes to the platform, but users will be able to have Cloud Native Build Pack experience in Cloud Foundry. And the RFC is clarifying the first steps only. Based on the feedback we will collect here, we want to decide how to proceed with the next steps and have a native integration of cloud-native build packs in CF. I also brought some personal highlights from the community. The move from Ubuntu Bionic to Ubuntu Jammy Jellyfish is one of them. We had really tough timelines to complete this RFC. I'm really happy that we managed to do it on time. There is also a talk by Stephan and Florian about this topic. And this is a great achievement, I think, and I want to thank all the working groups which were involved here. Recently, we started discussions in the community about a new type of readiness health check, a new type of health check called readiness, and this is about to enable application instances to manage their routing registration. This is really great also because talking to Cloud Foundry users, they have often requests in that direction. And also we had many improvements in our Cloud Foundry documentation in the last months. For example, the documentations about how you can operate highly available application on top of Cloud Foundry have been reworked. And this is really beneficial for our users. And last but not least, the elections introduced for the steering committee in the Paket working group is a step forward for the working group, I think, because it makes it more attractive for contributors. And I want to finish my talk with thoughts about why Cloud Foundry came such a long way, actually. I was thinking, who could you ask such a question? And nowadays, it's actually easy. You go online and you just ask an AI about this. And yes, I did it. I asked ChatGPT, and I got a pretty good answer. Actually, you hear this from Cloud Foundry users a lot. So enjoy the Cloud Foundry day, and thank you for the attention. Yeah.